What's up guys, Houndish here, and today it's time for Bungie's first TWID of 2025, so the weekly update returns. Bungie communications up until this week have been pretty quiet with the holidays and everything, but the community certainly hopes that they pick things up. And of course, we head into a strong year for Destiny in some capacity. That will start with communications, obviously, with us being a month out from Heresy and a few months away from the first expansion for the year. So a lot to talk about, and of course, Bungie have a lot of work to do. We'll see what they have to say today, initially. So if you guys find the video useful, get subscribed. It really does help me on the channel. But now, let's get into it. And first, we should give a couple of updates regarding Act 3 content that Bungie have just put out. So the D2 team said, we wanted to say thanks for the reports and feedback since the launch of Act 3. We're currently tracking several issues and we want to give a quick update. So for Slayer's Fang, they say, we're looking into known issues related to this exotic. The first is an issue where Overload champions are being stunned, but not prevented from healing. So they're currently working on a fix for that issue. They also add they're aware of an issue where the Catalyst quest requirements do not match their tooltips. Currently, it's only tracking progress in Revenant activities with the tonic active, and we're working on a fix to match its description and allow completion in all activities with the tonic active, so that refers to the very first quest step for those catalysts. And then additionally for Kel's Fall, they say we're tracking an issue where the portal back to the Revenant plane will sometimes not open when multi-phasing the boss, which leads to a soft block. And additionally, they're looking into a fix for an issue where not all players in a fire team receive credit when destroying an illusionary anchor during the Slayer's Fang Catalyst quest. But they add this isn't a full list of everything they're tracking, and they want to give a quick update on some of the most discussed topics, but they'll continue to give updates as they work through the issues. And with regards to reflective flakes, which they did touch on in this post, about an hour later, they said, based on player feedback, we've increased the amount of reflective flakes that can be earned from completing the Kel's Fall exotic mission. It was only one previously, so that's a positive in itself. And despite the bugs they've outlined right there, relatively speaking, in terms of recent releases, this has been somewhat smooth, minus a couple of relatively minor issues, so that in itself is something. There is a patch next week, but some of the things that require updates will probably take a little longer than that. We'll just have to wait and see. Next up though, we get onto the TWID, and the weekly update itself does have a lot of recaps regarding Act 3. But firstly, look into some things in the future. Bungie say they are adjusting the strange coin cap in episode Heresy. So over the next few weeks, they say we'll be preparing you for what you can expect in Heresy. To start, we've got a nice quality of life change coming with the launch of the episode. So the strange coins cap will be increased from 99 to 199. On top of that, Assyrian Ciphers and Nightfall Ciphers cap will increase from 10 to 30. And they add that prices for items that cost strange coins and ciphers will remain the same, so this change will allow you to save more to spend when Xur arrives or when a Nightfall or Trials weapon you're targeting comes into rotation. And in terms of the Trials ciphers, they say the cap increase is just one of many Trials related changes we have coming in Heresy, and we'll be sharing all the details in the weeks ahead. So that's the only section regarding Heresy in this particular TWID. In terms of the Trials changes, they have said there are going to be some reasonably significant ones, introduction of new rewards, and system changes, as well as adjustments to Sandbox and the modes themselves. So it will be interesting to see what that is all about. Otherwise in the TWID, they talk about Festival of the Lost for the year and armor voting. So we've had these kind of armor votes for Festival for 2 or 3 years at this point. Obviously it's a few months away, but Bungie tend to release these at a similar time. So they're essentially confirming the return for 2025. And just like past events, they've chosen 2 meta themes and classes that will be able to mix and match voting results across them. And this year's Spooky Season Showdown is Slashers versus Spectres. So we can see those on the screen right here. Initially, we've got the Slashers, and you'll see some themes from iconic movies and stuff right there. They are pretty cool. On top of that, there will be Spectres, which are more sort of ghost-themed things. So pretty cool stuff, kind of hard to decide really. I guess I'd probably be leaning towards the Slashers on a personal level across the board, but give us your thoughts down below. And they say we are going to tinker with the program a little based on feedback, so while you'll still vote on which armor set is going to be released during Festival of the Lost, we'll commit to producing the runner-up sets later. And while we aren't promising on a specific timeline, they'll typically be released before the next year's Festival of the Lost event. So this time around, they're basically saying they're going to produce all of the armor sets, all of the runners-up as well, and perhaps they'll be introduced in subsequent seasons. They say, we know a lot of you loved the Wizards who didn't make the cut for 2024. We felt the same way, so we're making plans to release those armors during Heresy this year. We aren't planning on producing all past runner-up armor, but we feel like the fashion could use a few more wizard hat options. So players will receive an email for the armor vote this year, or there's a link to a survey in the TWID. Voting will be open for a week, and we'll share the winners once we get the results sorted out. So pretty cool right there. Let us know your favourite armor pieces. Also interesting that they're going to be producing runners-up, including for last year's set. And otherwise, in terms of future-facing stuff, they say they have many more Heresy updates coming in the next few weeks, so we can look out for massive updates that will focus on PvP and Sandbox that'll probably take you and your favourite creators some time to chew through. Of course, we want to hear about plenty more than that, previews for Heresy stuff in itself, changes for the episode system, and very importantly, conversation about what's happening later on in the year with the expansions, upcoming content models. Yeah, Bungie have got a lot that the community are looking for them to speak about, so in that respect, it's been a relatively light TWID right here. The other things they speak about in the update this week is a bit of a recap for Act 3. So they say now that Act 3 is out, for those who may have missed out on Revenant content to this point, we can essentially play and complete the whole thing. And they talk about the Awoken Watchtower in the Tangled Shore and Fickrel's Fortress with the Kelsfall mission, as well of course as Slayer's Fang. Let us know how you guys have been getting on with that now that we've had a couple of days with it. But they point out the Heart Piercer perk allows rounds to shatter into submunitions upon impact, and also pack a punch against Overload champions. Then with Slayer's Fang in hand, you can venture back into Kelsfall to round out your new weapon with 4 catalysts. But otherwise we had the 2 new legendary weapons, the Rocket and the Stasis Scout Rifle, as well as the artifact mods. So for most of you guys watching this video, you probably know a lot about that already. If you don't, and you're interested, obviously you can check out some of our Revenant coverage, or indeed the TWID itself. But otherwise for today, that's all that Bungie have to speak about. Also curious that they haven't spoken about the patch coming next week to the game in any further detail. They did outline some PvP focus changes a few weeks back, but next week's patch is reportedly reasonably significant. There'll probably be additional bug fixes, some of which we'd be curious to hear about ahead of time, but Bungie haven't taken that opportunity today. The same applies to the Bento token event, which Bungie have teased to be in the last few weeks of episode Revenant. I did a bit of a guide for that today. Bungie haven't clarified the exact release date still, so I'm still leaning towards it's going to be in the next 2 weeks, but give us your thoughts from the TWAB in the comment section. The TWID, I'm still doing it. For now though guys, that's all we've got, so if you found the video useful, a rating really does help us out. Also get subscribed. Otherwise though, cheers for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.